ADHD doesn't have to be a weakness, because actually those symptoms of weakness are actually strengths. And you can use your weaknesses to your advantage by just tweaking your mindset and environment. With my coaching, it's like helping you gamify your life. And like gamifying my life, using apps that help build habits and blocking out distractions and setting up rewards is what your brain wants. So you can use that to your advantage. I was misdiagnosed and misunderstood. My life was one big blur, jumping from one project to another and from person to person. I was a smart student without a purpose, so I didn't put much effort into school or life. Burnout is real and it's too common, and a lot of the folks are dealing with anxiety or depression, and they might be on lots of caffeine and sugar and other meds. So especially in tech, so learning how to manage all these things is very important.
Today, we're diving into a topic that doesn't get talked about enough: how ADHD can actually be a superpower in the tech industry. I'm sitting down with Henry Lam, an ADHD coach who's all about helping tech pros turn what many see as a challenge into their biggest assets. Henry's journey is seriously inspiring. He's got some game-changing strategies for staying focused, managing tasks, and crushing it in high-demand fields like IT. So whether you've got ADHD or just want some killer productivity tips, this one's for you. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. With that said, let's jump into today's episode.
My name is Henry Lam. I'm an ADHD coach with a particular focus in tech professionals, and my mission is to help ADHD folks diagnosed or undiagnosed in tech unleash their dreams and their happiest lives.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time to come on the channel. And do you mind kind of sharing a bit about your personal journey with ADHD and how you discovered, that it's a gift for you rather than a limitation?
With ADHD, my personal journey, like many individuals with ADHD, I was misdiagnosed and misunderstood. My life was one big blur, jumping from one project to another and from person to person. I was a smart student without a purpose, so I didn't put much effort into school or life. And it wasn't until my 8th therapist suggested ADHD that everything clicked. So I was diagnosed at 22, and I realized that, hey, ADHD is not so bad because it has strengths. So it's a gift and not a curse.
Let's kind of dive into that some more. You mentioned that, when you kind of got diagnosed, it was, you realized it was a strength, not a curse. Can you elaborate on that more? And what are some pivotal moments that kind of like help you shift that perspective? Because I think a lot of people in the industry think of ADHD as like it's holding them back.
Yeah. So a turning point was learning about how ADHD was an advantage and still is an advantage before civilization. So back in the day, you would need to be hyper vigilant and really pay attention to sounds and sights and all those things. And you can't just keep quiet. You would need to change focus quickly and chase after animals and pay attention to the weather. You got to be more sensitive, but it's a good sensitive. So ADHD doesn't have to be a weakness, because actually those symptoms of weakness are actually strengths. And you can use your weaknesses to your advantage by just tweaking your mindset and environment to play that more. So a lot of video games really helps ADHD people get focused, because it's making all your systems and your body turn on, because you need to focus. You're going to chase after the other player and beat them in the match, etc. So using your unique traits of focusing and creative problem solving and can put a lot of time and energy into something you're interested in, it can be very good. So there's many famous people with ADHD from all spectrum of careers, from your entertainers to to your PhD scientist. So finding your strengths and making sure you continue using them, because a lot of times you don't know how to apply those strengths when you're struggling with things. So that makes you distracted and you seek out the more addicting tech stuff that ironically distracts you from doing your tech work. So understanding that, hey, I have to put some principles, but I can make it fun. It's like because a lot of with my coaching is like helping you gamify your life, and like gamifying my life. Okay, using apps that help build habits and blocking out distractions and setting up rewards is what your brain wants. So you can use that to your advantage. It's just if you're just running around with distracted by other tech, then you're not going to build your own system. So having somebody keep you focused, just like a raw talented boxer or UFC fighter, that doesn't mean anything if you don't develop the skills and systems to keep going. So say, hey, it's like having a polar bear sitting in North America and a grizzly bear in Antarctica. That's not going to work very well. And so you got to learn how you adapt to your situation. So clear focus and feedback is very important.
That's what you said just kind of struck a chord with me already. We just got started, and I noticed that, like, I'll get I always call it getting squirreled off, having that short attention span. Like, I'll be researching something tech related for my job, and then I'll be like, oh wow, this is cool, and like I'll start thinking about applications, how I can use it outside of work or something different, and it can be hard to stay focused sometimes, especially like, I don't know, I just feel like a kid in a candy shop when like I'm starting looking into these coolness, interesting tech things that may not actually apply to what my salary pays me to do. Let's kind of break this down for a little bit, and let's talk about what are some unique strengths and talents people with ADHD often possess that are frequently overlooked.
Yeah, so ADHD individuals often have incredible creativity, problem-solving abilities, and hyper-focus on tasks that interest them. So they can go for hours and hours researching something new or trying to solve problems. Just like, some of the famous ADHD folks like Thomas Edison back in the days, like he spent hours and hours to create the light bulb. It's like, how much frustration did he have trying to do it? But he kept going. Finding how you can keep doing that, especially when you have a really hard bottleneck, is very important. So these strengths can lead to innovative solutions and out-of-box thinking, often overlooked due to the focus challenges that ADHD folks have of jumping into rabbit holes and switching tasks too quickly. So excelling in crisis situations or stressful environments is a strong talent of ADHD folks with the quick thinking and ability to remain calm under pressure. They keep learning new things and improving themselves. So that's why, hey, technology probably has one of the highest amount of undiagnosed workers with ADHD, because of all those things. You need creative problem solving, lots of stressful environments, lots of new things, and it's exciting. Of course, it can feel overwhelming, and you could go down rabbit holes because you're always trying to learn new things and researching, and there's too many things coming at you compared to years ago.
Absolutely. And you mentioned something like we all have our own strengths, and people with ADHD they have different strengths, and we can focus for hours, or like me, like I can't just sit down and like focus and like absorb like book material. I'm a very hands-on person. How can I identify like my own unique strengths, or how can people identify their own unique gifts and strengths when it comes to ADHD?
Yeah, so self-reflection is very important. So understanding yourself, creating like your own manual to your life, like you building your own custom PC. You are not replaceable. There's only going to be one of you, and you have to understand how you work. What are your preferences? What are your talents? What are your learning styles? How do you absorb information the best? Visual, auditorio. How can you make reading interesting if you have to read, etc.? So having feedback about these things and putting it down and looking at it from time to time and using it daily is important. So you don't keep trying to do something that you're not naturally good at or you can't learn effectively. So you can spend more time doing the things you want to do instead of hours doing something that's not good for you. So feedback from mentors and coaches can provide valuable insights into, one's strengths and more. So keeping a journal of your achievements and activities that feel fulfilling can help and recognize patterns and strengths. And being grateful for your strengths and your past successes during the day is very important, because you're dealing with a lot of frustration frequently. And then how are you going to get that dopamine, feel good moments, and your biggest success so far, whatever video game gamification system you set up, that you hit the bing bing and you're like, great success. And they're like, oh, I feel much better. Even though it's some random guy repeating like 5 phrases every day at you in a video game, you like that. So you got to bring that feedback to you throughout the day, because you want that immediate feedback. That's why you like the video games. You do so many repetitive things in a video game, but you have freedom and you have fun, and it doesn't feel overwhelming, which video games do feel overwhelming. It's like, oh, it can take 30 hours to beat that game, but they give you a step by step, and there's rules and guides. So you got to create that for your workplace and for your gifts and strengths. And you even use that outside of workplace too. So you can do those chores you hate, or make the food, because you can't just eat McDonald's or package junk all the time, because you're just like a high valuable car. If you don't take care of it, then you're not going to use your unique gifts and strengths. It can't drive fast forever if it's
Right.
running on old oil, etc.
So you mentioned having a journal as like one way to help deal with the daily challenges. Is there other ways you recommend for like people with ADHD to help focus on those challenges and, focusing on your strengths?
Yeah, so every day looking at your goals and like putting, how can you use your strengths with those goals, whether it's, you like creative problem solving or humor, etc. Like how can you incorporate, little bits of your passion, your ideas, your strengths into what you're doing to make it more palatable for your brain, and that you're breaking down the tasks and not feeling overwhelmed, and that you're rewarding yourself with your passions and interests, whether it's, oh, you like that lo-fi of some video game music, etc. You leveraging your strengths and passions and interests daily and is important, so you can keep going in face of challenges and be happy about it.
What are some, you mentioned a couple times like rewarding yourself and, gamifying this experience, what are some ways you commonly see people like how do you gamify ADHD? It's like I'm trying to wrap my head around this.
There's so many ways to do it. I mean, you can go even as basic, like every time you did something, eat a jelly bean. But of course, that's not healthy. But there's apps like the Habitka app, which is a bit RPG habit tracking app that makes noises every time you complete a task or habit or to do, and it gives you XP, and you can buy stuff when you rack up enough coins to level up your character with some cool gear, and etc. So things of that nature, to just talking positively to yourself, having timers, 25 minutes go, just like in a game, matches are like 15, 30 minutes, and you're trying to just race against the clock to get things done, which creating that urgency is very important to get things done. And even having like a buzzer button of a recording, or even listen to a recording of positive feedback stuff. Whether like great job, nice work, keep going, etc. And just listening to that, if you just record your own, which is probably the most powerful, and just keep listening to that while you're doing something you really hate, and you're going to feel much better. Things don't feel as bad. So, and then having, check-ins with people, working with, a coworker who has ADHD, or some random stranger on the internet, or checking in with your bosses once a day or a couple times a week to help you feel accountable, because you don't want to wait to the last deadline to do things, and which is a big concern for ADHD folks, because then they get on performance review when they do it for too long, and they then feel bad about themselves, and then they burn out. So help find that feedback loop every day is important with the gamification. So in general, ADHD folks need urgency, accountability, and rewards and consequences. And a lot of times you need the rewards and consequences immediately or same day. So that's why the deadlines next day, you can do deadlines every day, because that's how, if you want people to function, think of the deadlines actually get people like fired up. So it's like, the brain just goes when it's today, because that's only the brain cares about is today. So if you make it today that, hey, I'm just going to do one part today, and that I'm going to report to someone, and I break it down, your brain's like, okay. And then you throw the stuff you enjoy with it, then it feels even better. So leveraging that, you got to make today your deadline, because if you're not going to wait to the end of the month if you want to succeed with gamifying your ADHD, it has to be today.
So one thing I always struggle with is like, one, staying organized, and two, like, staying productive. It seems like I can work great. Like a lot of times I'll get in a zone where I'm just laser focused on a certain task, and then just the littlest of things will derail me, and I'm gone. I'm like done for hours. How do you stay organized and productive, and particularly in like a high demanding field such as IT?
Frustration tolerance is a very big challenge with ADHD. So trying to predict those potential bottlenecks and frustrations earlier is possible to help you get more things done. And also, when those things happen, it's like you pushing the button to reset yourself and to ask questions, or take a quick break and then come back to it. But don't just leave and don't come back to it. So, get help, ask questions to reframe yourself and get back in the mindset. Because if you just go to the distractions, then you're just avoiding it. And then, the brain just wants to keep avoiding it. And there's, so much help out there, and it's just, making sure you have everything, that you block out the distractions, and you set timers too, because you could keep going without reframing, and that could be bad too. So setting, if need be, extra timers during those tasks that are annoying, you go too long, is important. Whether it's every 15 minutes it turns on, etc., or with accountability, because then maybe your focus is better too if you do like a Zoom accountability buddy. So because ADHD folks can be very people pleasing, which is good and bad. So using that to make sure you're on track, and you don't leave, or you don't pivot, just like in sports or video games, learning how to pivot strategically, and that frustration. So that goes back to that feedback loop of feeling good. It's like, I put time into this, that's better than not doing it at all. So think about, it's about progress, not perfection. And and having a plan as much as you can for everything that you can to prevent and to keep you in the task. Because starting tasks can be hard, or it can be really easy, but then staying and finishing can be the challenge. So doing whatever it takes to make sure you stay in and don't ring out of the fight is very important. And making sure that you're in the right focus mode too, learning how to get into hyper focus. So doing just like in sports, you don't just run in and do the best sprint you can or the best fight you can. You have to warm up. So learning what warms you up, whether it's exercise or, a short video game session to help you get into the zone.
So these tasks, can you explain like your method for prioritizing these tasks, ensuring your most crucial work gets done first, and you're not just focusing? I find myself sometimes focusing on like the tasks that really don't matter because like I'm avoiding maybe the more important critical tasks. How do you prioritize and ensure everything gets done?
Yeah, so prioritization. So using the Eisenhower's urgent important matrix, so the 4x4. So the first box is the urgent and important tasks. These are the tasks you got to do today. And people are counting on you, the company's counting on you. You're maybe sick and tired of waiting. That could be. And the second box would be the important, not urgent. These are due later, next week, 1 month, etc. And then the not important but urgent, those are like the firefighting tasks, which a lot of people do those tasks. So these can be delegated or done another time or etc. And then the last would be the non-urgent and non-important. So these tasks trashed, keeping you busy and it's not important. And those tasks, really can take up time too. So making sure you throw the things onto the matrix, and then of course later then breaking down those tasks, because that doesn't mean anything when you have it on there, and scheduling things and getting rid of things. So continually doing that and getting better at it and asking for help if need be, and working in conjunction with different technologies, whether it's Zapier for connecting apps and stuff, or stuff that's automated so just appears on your computer right away so you don't get as distracted, or using some project management tools like Jira or Confluence, or in IT and some productive people use the agile methodologies to ensure critical tasks are completed first. Using all these things so you can collaborate with your teams and keep track of ongoing projects. Getting to the hyper focus on those urgent important tasks is very important. So that's where all your energy should go to. So making sure that energy and focus time you have, that should be the urgent important tasks. All the other ones is for later or don't do.
So you just mentioned a couple different apps and stuff out there like Zapier and stuff. Do you have like a toolkit? Like what are some of your go-to like apps and tools for managing your time and your tasks effectively?
Yeah, so I use Trello, which is a visual Kanban board, so I can see everything and have things keep moving, because it's easy for me to understand. It's simple, because some of the things can get complicated, which you might need depending on your situation. Figuring out what system works for you the best is important, and also then what your company allows you to use. And using Zapier and things that automate the stuff, because there's so many things connecting, is very important. And having a note app that works for you. So I use OneNote for work and Evernote for home. And then I'm working on trying to use mind maps for creative stuff, maybe for marketing. So mind maps can be very helpful. That if you're very visual, then you can see a lot of things connecting. But getting used to using that, takes some time too, because it's like, I haven't done this in years since I was a kid, to mind map things or create those trees. So taking the time to learn the tool and sticking with it, because there's so many tools, and then learning how you work, asking some questions yourselves and reading the stuff, and get a gist. It's convenient for you, easy to understand. All that stuff is very important. And just sticking to it, because there's too many things, is a number one priority, no matter what. And then making sure that you block out all those other apps or websites that get in the way of that. And you can even use like Brave browser, which has separate settings that you can have. This is my browser for work. This is my browser for home. Besides, yes, you shouldn't have your distracting video games on the same PC and other things of that nature. So separating things is very important. At the same time, making sure the work stuff are very interconnected.
Let's take a few minutes here and talk about breaking down larger projects into manageable steps to avoid feeling overwhelmed. What advice do you have to break down some large projects to just make it more easier to manage?
Yeah, so breaking down large projects to make it easier to manage. So breaking it down into tiny tasks that are easy for your brain. So it depends on the person, but you can go as far as just, hey, write the outline and, then gather material through these websites. So breaking it down into simple for your brain, and if need be, you can go as simple as open the computer up. So sometimes that can be helpful because your brain just wants comfort. So breaking it down as small as you feel that you need to make it easy. So it depends on the person. So, and then putting into your task management system, break it down into those and making sure that you set that time for doing that project at the best time for you. So sometimes you do one project the first half of the day and then do a different project second half of the day. It depends. So you could spend the whole day on the same project, but the first half of the day is usually your hardest task for the project, first hardest task, and then start getting the ball rolling, whatever it takes with the task broken down already. Don't break it down the same day. Planning and prioritization is very important in doing.
So what you're kind of describing to me sounds a lot like time blocking. Is that kind of what you're saying? Like set aside, kind of plan out and these blocks of time, to focus on specific tasks. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. So time blocking for 1 to 4 hours, time block your day so you can get things done. So we can focus max 4 hours, and then we go down and then we come back up. So usually the first half of the day is the best to get the hardest things. So time block your most important tasks, and the second half of the day catch up on other things that you can go chasing fire, and then get that done by the end of the day. So if you get stuck in email hopping, then schedule it later in the day, because then you can finish that, because you don't want to waste your time chasing other people's things that are not urgent and important by just waking up and going to work at 9 o'clock. You do that, and then you're like, I'm fatigued, I don't want to do the hard tasks I've been putting off. So blocking out the time, and then making sure you block out time to relax. So that means take walks, massage your shoulders or your wrists, your eyes, stretch, take some deep breaths, write down things that you succeeded in doing during that period, etc., to help boost your morale and keep stress down, and so you can keep going and going.
Now, you're talking about taking breaks and stuff. How do you work breaks into your workday to maintain that high level energy, avoid that kind of burnout?
Yeah, so during those blocks, so little breaks, it can be 5-15 minutes depending on you, just specific activities that that make you happy and also or relieve stress. So mixing whatever works for you that you can keep using. And if you eat during the day, during work, walk after as your break, so you don't just jump in, so you can keep your digestion system running smoothly, and you can focus better when you come back to work. So making sure that anytime you eat, if you do movement after, it's always better. So at least 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes is a sweet spot of movement after eating, so you can focus better and take on things. You're like, oh, if I'm going to lose time if I don't just jump into works, well, you're not going to be focusing as well. So as much as you can, take those breaks. At least have 3 breaks during the days that are like more than 15 or 30 minutes, depending on what works for you, so you can stay running smoothly throughout the day.
Earlier, you talked about like getting like your boss or your supervisor involved for like accountability and stuff like that. And I kind of want to touch back on that. You know, what role does accountability play in productivity, and how do you how do you incorporate that into your daily routine?
Scheduling time to check in with the accountability partner is very important. So whether it's in the evening or midday, to be like, I'm going to get this done by a certain amount of period, and if need be, send them the stuff, etc. It's like, just say, I feel better when I more accountable people and check in and get things done. And the boss is like, okay, because he wants you to be productive. So we don't have to say you have ADHD, or some folks in IT also have autism, or also ADHD and autism. So just communicating upfront, hey, I'm going to get things done, and I'm going to let you know. Those CEOs are getting checked on every hour or etc. to help them keep on track and committed to their goals, ensuring consistent progress. So also participating in peer review sessions and team stand-ups to maintain accountability and receive constructive feedback is important. And then some of your coworkers might have ADHD too, so be like, hey, anybody want to be focus buddies and get things done over Zoom for whatever you need to get done, and it can be very helpful. You don't have to say you have ADHD to get that help if you don't do the stuff online. And then you're going to start feeling better and better, because it's like your system's more productive when you're accountable, not with just other things you've been working on. It's just, the commodity, being with people, and it's like, hey, we're in this together. It makes your brain really turn on and stay focused.
I'm curious, what inspired you to become an ADHD coach? And, how have your personal experience shaped your coaching methods?
Yeah, my personal struggles and triumphs with ADHD inspired me to help others. So my experience shapes my empathetic and personalized coaching approach. So I struggled also with life purpose and health challenges and other things, and just understanding life and healing and being healthy and happy is very important to me. So, and continuous learning. So applying, stuff to my coaching related to that, so people can be, happy and healthy and whole being, instead of just, cog in a machine, just barely floating by, or not living up to their potential. Because a lot of coaching is actually, it's holistic, my coaching, because it's not just these productivity tips. It's also taking care of your other things, your sleep routine, your morning routine. Are you getting enough of hobby time? Is your relationships not affecting you? Are you overwhelmed with more responsibilities? Well, got to incorporate stress relieving techniques, because that's very important, so you don't get burnout, because that's very common in tech, burnout, because you're just working. So having that work and life balance ensures that you can keep going to the best that you can. So my unique insights and strategies benefits others. It's like, oh, I know I enjoy this, and it's problem solving, creativity, innovation, self-employment. I enjoy a lot of these things, and I like helping smart folks, especially people in tech. So having all these things work together is like, oh, that's very motivating to me to do.
Well, and when we first met, you also mentioned that you'd like to especially help people in tech, with ADHD. And I'm kind of curious, like, how have you tailored your coaching strategies to meet the unique needs of people in tech with ADHD?
Incorporating industry specific challenges and solutions using tools and strategies that resonate with the tech environment, and also the individual people, how their minds work and what they like. So having all these things catered to them is very important. So using specialized software, creating secure workflows, and managing the high demands and all the data in the world of the industry effectively is very important. So you can keep going, because burnout is real and it's too common, and a lot of the folks are dealing with anxiety or depression, and they might be on lots of caffeine and sugar and other meds. So especially in tech, so learning how to manage all these things is very important. And ironically, a lot of the solutions is tech, but tech catered to you, that works for you, and everything else, so you can be the best you can be in tech and not get sunk in the ocean of tech.
I want to talk to you about building a community, and how important is community support for individuals with ADHD, and how does it play into their success?
Yeah, so community support is crucial for sharing experiences, strategies, and encouragement. Fosters a sense of belonging and reduces feelings of isolation, which can be quite frustrating and unhappy. So building a network of peers who understand the unique challenges of ADHD can provide invaluable support and motivation.
Do you have any specific resources you recommend for people in IT with ADHD to seek support and growth opportunities?
Yeah, so online forums, specifically Reddit. So there's different groups. So the general ADHD group or your specific career, and you can find other ADHD folks by, saying you have ADHD, have some specific questions. And of course, there's also local support groups. Specifically, a lot of times it's CHADD, CHADD. It's just, of course, then you can find maybe some like-minded IT folks, and checking out what you can find on LinkedIn in your area. Because in general, there is no tech network yet with ADHD folks, which I am working on, trying to get people to join my Discord group, which has a subgroup for tech workers. Of course, then there could be a subgroup for IT or cloud, etc. So finding your community is very important. And also, then there might be some group coaching programs in specific areas that might have more IT people, so that can be helpful. So there's not too many folks that say that I specialize in tech. So trying to see what you can find, or checking out my website when I publish. I'm going to publish it by when this podcast comes out. Just put the link. Of course, it's a new group, so I'm trying to grow it, and you guys contribute. It's not just I just put all the stuff. It's you guys helping each other, and me just facilitating and providing when needed. And then I'm also gonna probably create a podcast for tech workers, so across the spectrum, so they can share their stories and successes and struggles.
That's so cool. And for those of you watching or listening to this, we will definitely make sure and link down to all of Henry's resources down in the description or show notes below. So I'm curious, what are some of your future goals for your coaching practice and helping others discover how to leverage their ADHD gifts?
I aim to expand my practice, developing different programs like the Discord group coaching, and the podcast for tech professionals, and to increase the awareness about strengths of ADHD, and of course in tech. My goal is to create more resources and support systems tailored to the unique individuals in tech, and more if needed, so people can live the lives they want and not feel stuck and miserable like I was.
Do you personally have any figures that are in the tech industry or beyond really that you look up to?
Figures like Steve Jobs, Richard Branson. One has ADHD, the other one, I read 60 pages of his bio. I was like, does this guy have some neurodivergency or ADHD? I'm like, okay, yeah, he probably has some, highly likely. So their innovative thinking and ability to leverage their unique strengths, their willingness to take risks and challenge the status quo resonates with my approach to leveraging ADHD strengths. So, finding, people you inspire to be like, or, you can learn from, can be very good. And even probably Steve Wozniak probably has he could have Asperger's, which they don't call that anymore, high functioning autism, and maybe ADHD too. So there's a lot of them out there. It's just, you can figure it out if they speak out sometimes, or you see different things that stands different than other folks, like they can't focus, they struggle during meetings, etc. And they're open to working together to focus better. So of course it's not clear cut because people don't want to say, but of course if the boss is there, so being open to communicating with coworkers but not saying ADHD, can help you find other ADHD folks.
Have these individuals influenced your approach to leveraging your ADHD strengths?
Both of them, having many interests and then combining things and creating businesses and ideas, and being powered by, what their strengths and positivity, and riding that energy and to where they want, is very important. So helping people do the same. It's all about, you can create energy and focus whenever you want, of course, minus, having health challenges and such. And it's just learning how to leverage that your way every day as the best as you can.
So I got one more question for you as we get ready to land the plane here. But before that, if people want to connect with you or find out more of what you're doing, or even sign up for your coaching, where can they find you?
Yeah, so they can find me at ADHDcoachingnearme.com. So pretty simple, ADHDcoachingnearme.com, and where you can find resources and the things that I'm going to put out, and ask me any questions about any of your particular situation, so you can start moving ahead to the life you want.
So awesome. What is one piece of advice you have for us people in tech that are just struggling? What is one thing we can implement tomorrow to start helping us improve and succeed in our careers?
One thing you could do is a breathing technique that you can use to focus and also de-stress. So it does both. So it keeps you grounded. So, before you can use it anytime, because it can be done in the morning or before work or after work. So pretty much it's taking your hands and then like pushing up and then coming back down like a bird, and then bringing it back together, and then swooping back up and then switching. So this is, and you count like 4 seconds up and then 6 seconds down. So that's 4 seconds in the air and 6 seconds out is very effective of decreasing stress and feeling more present. So this is such a great way to just start your day, and then thinking about whatever your greatest, happiest moments or places works in conjunction with it too. So just thinking of that and just doing that motion will get you focused and relaxed. So it's just some way just to get you back in the zone. It's like you're not feeling good, you want to focus, you just do that. It's like, and it's just so simple, because those things more complicated, or people, it's like, oh, basically, it's just my meditation. It's like, I don't want to do that. Well, you're just thinking about, you're just doing this hand motion and thinking about your positive thing. It's like having that every day, a couple times during the day is very empowering. So just that little habit, can change your life.
You have dropped so much great information, and definitely I'd love to have you back on the show here in the future to just enlighten us more and give us more tools to help us better succeed in the career field. Again, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the channel and share all this wisdom with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for having me on, Dakota.
Awesome. Well, everyone, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, keep learning.